Well, hello and welcome back. My name's Kieran Siemens, and today is the most special day of the whole year. Today is the day we've all been waiting for. Let's talk about it. Okay, so there has been a lot of good news recently that has been really quite remarkable. The absolutely deliciously gorgeous Mr. Accidento. There is a hardback edition that looks something like that. It's quite fantastic. 100 pages. That's a softback edition. It will be this size will be slightly reduced to match the cover of that. I don't know what happened with the test print, but that is what you're going to be getting. You're going to be getting lovely styled illustrations that look like that about all the accidents that has happened to Mr. Accident. There he is with his head on fire. There is 100 illustrations in here, and it's really quite very different, really. That's when mental health has kind of split him in two. And that is out now on Amazon, and it is doing very well, and I'm extremely happy with his head blown off there. There's lots of very, 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 very fun, easy to get humor in this book. And I'm very, very pleased with it. I do think it's a real special one. In fact, I enjoyed it so much, even in its it is kind of like notebook illustration. That's how I took it. I'd drawn all these up and they became a book. I didn't have to redraw them again because it just felt like it was the style of the time. So go and get yourself a Mr. Accidento. Okay, that is the new book, but it's not the new news that I need to tell you. So hang on a minute. So there is a lot more books that are out there that you can pick up. There is the big, huge Ghostabulous experience, which is about I think it's about 200 pages or something like that. And you've got the smaller editions. There's 3 different volumes of this with a different cover. You've got the Inky Sketchbook, of course, a hardback and softback. That's kind of like more of what was asked from the time, where you got kind of like real just sketches. Most of them came from the daily drawings that I was doing, and a lot of you had asked about how they can get hold of it, so I put it together in a nice book. Again, I think there's another 100 illustrations in that. Then you've got the Worilips kind of book that goes along with the series, and you have got a few versions of the Brainiest Combustibles. Again, these are all colored illustrations. There's 2 versions. The other book is green. The book 1 is green. Let's find a nice page for you to look at. There you go. Something like that. You can see lots of illustrations in there in my style, you know. They're tried to be a little bit more colorful in this edition. These are kind of like short story kind of poems. There's one about death. So that's another version there you can go and get yourself. There's so many books already, and that's only a part of them. So go and feast yourself on what's going on. Now for the big news. The big news that from the lovely story of Ghostabulous, the Worilips book, there is now book 2. Book 2 is now working through the system, so by the time you see this video, it'll be on Amazon. How fabulous. How fabulous. And it will be the same as that. I think it's going to be a little bit thicker than that because it was one of those books that just took every ounce of energy out of me. In fact, I had worked on the book 2 of Worilips. I'd worked on the book 2, and it was kind of like it had got to a stage where it was almost finished. And I wasn't happy with so many of the drawings. I wasn't happy with some parts of the story. And to be honest, there was nothing wrong with it, but I think a lot of it was just I've been staring at it for too long, and I changed some of the drawings and I changed some things, and I started to get myself a little bit confused. It was a beautiful story. It was all the illustrations were correct. In fact, I've done quite a few of the illustrations on the YouTube, and you can go and see them. But it just kind of, my brain started to fight. The two brain system. They were just, one liked it, one didn't like it, and it kind of went. And that's where Mr. Accidento came from. Mr. Accidento was something where I kind of put it on the shelf, and I'd gone and done Mr. Accidento while I was dealing with my blind issues and my cancer issues. I went away and did Mr. Accidento to kind of get away from it. And from that, I built up a lot of love and energy again for drawing and the books and the whole thing. And on the tail end of it, I picked up Worilips 2. And Worilips 2 is called The Python of Self-Loathing. And I think it's beautiful. I think it's even better than the first one, if I can say that. I haven't got a copy yet, but it's on its way to me. And what can I say? I'm more than excited. Mr. Accidento came out of a real kind of down period with mentally struggling with the book, and mentally kind of struggling with going blind and the cancer issues on my head, and everything kind of just slumped, and now it's coming back up again. I feel fantastic. So it's so good to have Mr. Accidento and then the Worilips 2. So I'm very, very, very excited. So I thought I would actually show you. Now, part of this kind of confusion kind of took me into drawing on different sizes of paper. I don't know why, but from the littlest little crow that I kind of drew in one of the illustrations. I'd drawn him talking to Norman, and it bugged me. Something about the crow I didn't feel worked, and I replaced him and I put it on, and that was the little drawing from it. But from the little drawing, that's what most of them came out. Most of them were that size. That's kind of like a A2. Most of these were A2 drawings, but in particular, just this one was that. So that was one of the vultures that chased Norman through the story. They're kind of like ghostly demon kind of vultures that come to chase him. Let's put that over there because it's a small one. There's the vultures again. When they kind of first meet him in the park, poor old Norman sitting on the bench worrying about life, and these two vultures, demon vultures, come behind him. They need to talk with him about certain things, and that's some of the illustrations that will be in the book. Let me put them over there. Now, that's don't want to explain this one too much, but you can see that there's an angel in the... But Norman is too wrapped up in his world, too wrapped up in all his worries, all the badness that's happening in the world, and he just walks straight past this angel. You will find out what it is in the story. And that is the Python. That is the Python of self-loathing that comes out of Norman. It comes to bring all his self-doubt, all his self-hatred comes out of him and comes back to fight him. And that is a very big battle in the book. So look out for that. In fact, it's the title of the book. There is the Worilips cat. That's one of the cats that he meets on his walks. I really love that illustration. I don't know why it kind of... in fact, I had to take the wording off it for the book. It just didn't fit. But that was a lovely cat that he meets on his walk. Here you have two rats that have got poor the fish, Pinky the fish. I won't explain why he's there. You'll have to read it in the book. But these two rats have caught the goldfish, and they're wanting to do bad things to do it. But who will save him? That's an interesting twist. You have Norman and Ciconia. That is basically the cover of the book. It's this image is everything. This was redrawn for the book. The original image, in fact, the original image is that. I prefer the original image, but I didn't want to reuse the drawings. But this really explains everything about the book. The whole adventure is really revolving around this image that there's this ghost that follows him. And the beginning of the story in book 1 is that he dies for a short period of time, and when he comes back, it seems that he has come back and a ghost has come with him, and this is the ghost that kind of wants to find his love. She obviously feels that Norman has this love for this girl in the photo, which is called Zoe in the book. And what happens is that she feels like since that girl has broken his heart and he's a good guy, that she will come back and take his love. And there's obviously alternative meanings in the book, which you will have to read and find out. But she comes back initially for his love, and she follows him around and she stays in the house with him, and that's a real powerful bond that they have in the beginning of the book. And it's something that really, I had so many questions about where is this love going, and that led me to book 2. In fact, after book 1, I basically sat with a notepad and I wrote down thousands of notes about where this love was going and why was this love going to happen. How was it going to happen between the dead and the living, the ghost and Norman, Ciconia and Norman. And it was really something that I loved, that whole pattern. I loved the whole kind of grip of the story. So that's Norman and Ciconia. That's Ciconia trying to be very wife-like, tried to be very much cooking for him and doing things for him, and trying to attract his love more and more through the book. And that is when she kind of shows her controlling side and she takes hold of his heart. It's very difficult to see there, but you can see his patchwork heart there on the end of her hand. And that is the scars of Norman's past love. And she has come to kind of show that I have your love, I have your heart. But of course, for Norman has a lot of love for the girl in the photo, Zoe. That's Norman trying to have his dinner there, and all the ghosts appear behind him, kind of like warning him in a way, are you really going to eat that? There's a kind of a twist there, but it was a lovely image. I loved the image of him constantly having these ghosts appear. Again, here's another kind of a darker side of Ciconia coming again to kind of welcome him home from where have you been type of thing, And this is quite a strong image again. And again, I'm loving how she has come out. In my initial kind of dreams in the hospital, I was with this kind of foggy ghost with a white face. And that's something that really came to me when I was putting this book together, that I didn't really want to have a ghost as a ghost. I wanted to have a ghost as the person or the image that was in my mind. And that's Norman there. He's gone to the hospital again, and he's met this guy who doesn't realize he's a ghost, doesn't realize his head is lost. He doesn't realize that he is a headless man. But he gives Norman some very valuable advice about life and love. And it's a very, very important moment. Another one here, just Norman singing to the goldfish, Pinky. And again, I love this kind of normality of it all. It's kind of like, that's him sitting at breakfast, singing on his ukulele to the fish. As you know, the fish is rather grumpy, so doesn't really like what he's doing. But that's a real kind of, I love this. It's almost like a photo. If you would imagine you've been in Norman's world, you could have taken a photo, a snapshot of his life. And again, it's something that's really, really special. This is a drawing that I did. It doesn't really appear in the story, but it was trying to get to a point where trying to show her kind of controlling nature that kind of builds up through the story. But it does appear in the book, but not as one of the story elements. It does appear as a small image. Again, it's kind of like her, you know, him on his walk and she's on top of the umbrella kind of checking on him. And I really loved it. But it was kind of like cut out of in some of these versions of the book, you know, as I would sit and rethink elements of it, that's when I got a little bit confused. And part of that was taking the story in different directions, as you do as a writer. You start to think you're going in that way, and then suddenly you have a great idea and you go that direction, and that direction usually just sends you down a rabbit hole of disaster. That is Mrs. Miggins. She's in the corner shop and she sells all the Easter eggs and chocolate bars and stuff. One of Norman's favorite shops, and she plays an important part in this book too. Doesn't really appear much in book one, although she does appear in book one, but she's a much bigger important element in book two. Very, very important. And I love her face. Look at that face. I love those big, thick, waxed kind of eyelashes that she has. And the cat, again, another illustration of the cat. Again, it's a cat that he meets. It gives him advice, but he doesn't really trust the cat because the cat looks kind of like gnarly. You know, it's like a real chewed up, beaten up, kind of rough cat with large teeth, and he doesn't know if the advice is real, then he should follow it, or it's just a nasty old cat. The lovers, Norman and Zoe. So I'm kind of giving away an element here that they are going to meet. They are going to meet in book two. And what is going to happen with that love? And it's a very, very, very important element of Norman's life. This whole love story is what all of the books are really about. I mean, there's about, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 books already with Worilips. 2 are the novel, but the others are his thoughts. And Zoe is there, and Zoe is an extremely part of his life. The whole reason that he broke his heart was for this lady. He broke his heart. He died and he came back and he still loved her. And I find that such an attractive element of the whole story that I feel like I want to write this story forever, you know. So there you are. They have met in book 2. What will happen with that meeting? Will it be a good meeting or will it not be a good meeting? I'm not going to give too much away. Seconia and Norman. Norman is trying to well, I'm not going to explain it too much, but there is a few images like this. And if you follow through the book, you'll see there's a progression with this. If you remember, in the first book, Zoe's photo is on that pillow, and she is now coming onto that pillow, and there's a progression there. If you look at the images through the book, there's a progression of who she is and what she is wanting. I think Norman stays the same. Norman is kind of like this kind of neutral element through the book. But the love element seems to grow. The love element seems to become more important and quite dangerous through book 2. So Norman in his little rain cloud. And it's something that sometimes I feel when I go to the park. I kind of sit there and I have my own little personal rain cloud where I'm worrying and thinking about life and the books and the stories and everything, you know. Again, another lovely kind of image. You can see he's got his little sandwich there on the side. And it's something that I really love. I love this whole direction that the story has gone in book 2. Book 2 is really something very, 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 very important. And I can see a book 3. Saying that too early, but it has so much that's progressed through this book. The love has progressed. The danger has progressed. A lot of those dangerous elements in book 1, the black-eyed boy comes back in book 2. So everything is kind of like, in book 1, there's a lot of things that are happening. And as book 2 happens, it's getting more and more dangerous and more involved. And all these characters are all wanting something from Norman. And Norman is very, very, very kind of unsure of who to trust and where to go. And I'm very pleased with it. I'm very pleased. I do know that it's over 200 pages. And it's called The Python of Self-Loathing. So I'm very happy with it. And I have actually got, in kind of celebration of it, I've got a whole batch of postcards that I've had made up. There's the Worilips on the back and that on the front. And what I will do is I will sign some of them. Maybe I'll sign at the bottom or the top or something. And I will put them up. I'll put them on eBay, as it seems to be the easiest thing at the moment. But I will put the images up. That's, well, I'll show you them two together. There you go. That's side 1 and side 2. Now, if I had been clever enough, I would have left side 2 white, and I could have signed the back of it. But it's a nice thing. And I did actually frame. I did frame one of them. I did frame it myself, and I thought, actually, as a framed image, I thought it looked absolutely gorgeous. But I'm sure if I was signing the bottom of it, it might be even more special for you. So that will be something that I will put up in the next couple of days. So check out the eBay and see where these cards, they're quite thick cards. So I will put a signature on it. And if you want one that isn't signed, of course, please just let me know. Obviously, this whole channel and the books are all aimed for you and for your wants and desires. I will try and make the signatures slightly varied in each one, so that they're not just a name, but something. Maybe I'll scribble something on there or something. But if you're interested, I'll put those up. I'll put them up for about £5. And they do come up. They're a very good quality image. I mean, look. And they will come up, and, you know, like I've done, I just popped it into a frame, and I think it looks, I think I'm really pleased with it. I hang it on my wall. I'm so pleased with it. And it's one of the most important images in the whole book. In fact, I feel like it is the element of the entire story collected. the only thing missing in that photo would be the photo of Zoe, but the whole direction of the story is based on that image. And so I will put those up for you on eBay, and I hope you will go along and buy them. I'm not sure how many I will put up, but they will be a limited edition, as with everything in my collection. And I'll do a book review when the book comes through. I will show you the final book when I receive it. But the exciting news is twofold here. Well, threefold really, because we have Mr. Accidento. Where's Mr. Accidento? Oh, he's right at the bottom. You know, Mr. Accidento is the book. It's released in the last couple of weeks. So Mr. Accidento is the new book out. And we have The Python of Self-Loathing, which is Worilips 2, which is coming out today. So you can go along and get yourself a copy. And please do, please. You know that these books are all done independently. They are not done through any big company. They are done solely through me and Mr. Miro, my dog. So all the sales will, obviously Amazon will take their part, and it will keep this channel alive. It'll keep the direction of the work alive. And I will put up the postcards for people to go along and buy in the next day. Okay, so thank you very much for everything. Thank you very much for all your support. And as always, I'll be back for some more chat, drawings and books and everything on the daily basis. So come back again and see what's happening. Go and buy yourself a book, either Mr. Accidento or The Python of Self-Loathing, or both. Why not treat yourself? Go and spoil yourself. Go on and get yourself a postcard on eBay. I'll see you very soon. Thank you very much for everything. See you soon. Bye-bye.